So I think the most important thing about being in business as a network marketer is who you become and who you can help others become in the process. And that includes your children. See, this business requires you to grow yourself and your character in order to make its promise come true. That promise being unlimited passive recurring income and all of the freedoms that go with it as a result of helping other people succeed too. So, if you have a family, you're faced with the need to balance business and family life. And first, let me say that perfect balance is a myth. So let's dispense with that idea right at the get-go. You know, there's give and take in every phase of life, and it absolutely never looks perfect. But how do you create some semblance of balance and routine when you need to be so intensely engaged while you're reaching the income you desire? Well, for one thing, you get your family involved directly and indirectly in ways that help them take ownership in the business and in ways that help you and help them grow as well. I mean, how awesome for your children to see a parent who's dreaming big and consistently working to fulfill that dream. And in so doing, it lets them know that their dreams matter too. They see a parent who keeps going even if they're tired and discouraged. They see emotional resilience and persistence. A parent who will do whatever it takes and who is a role model of all the good character traits that come into play. I mean, in my case, who could have guessed that I'd be a millionaire within 3 years and a multimillionaire by the age of 40? You know, of course, this enabled me to eventually spend more time with my children anytime we wanted, on our terms. I was also able to give them enriching experiences of extensive travel all over the world and exposure to friends from other cultures, many of whom have become like family. But gosh, when I started in 1989, I was a single mom with no money, no business experience, and 3 little kids who needed my attention. Yet the network marketing business model made it possible for me to lift myself up by my bootstraps and create a lifestyle beyond my wildest dreams. But as you might imagine, through the years, countless people have told me, you know, I can't engage in a new business because I have kids. On the contrary, I chose this business because of my children. They were my why. I wanted them to have lives of abundance and the freedom to make their own way. So if you have children, you want to leave the most valuable legacy you can possibly create. And that goes way beyond the money and the freedoms. It's about the people you've helped, who they become, and who you become in the process. The character traits that your children can model in their own lives. So what you're about to see is a small collection of clips from a video of my now grown children in a panel discussion at a 3-day training event. The theme is balancing business and family life. We wanted to show that it's possible to create the priceless legacy of financial freedom through network marketing and not sell out on your family in the process. So many parents I work with feel torn and guilty as they take time away from their families to focus on building their businesses. But the truth is, with some careful planning, creative teamwork, and heart-centered communication, you can create tangible and intangible benefits that will far outweigh the costs. So during the interview, my children were asked to share candidly what were the challenges and what were the gifts that came from having an entrepreneurial mom. You know, people in the audience said that the interview gave them permission to go full out for their dreams and that it actually intensified their why. I hope everyone who watches this condensed version will feel the same. You know, early on, I asked my kids for their support, and they became my partners and support system during their formative years. But until the money started flowing, we had challenges. It was tough. And one of the biggest ones was trying to figure out how to have quality time with each child while taking my business to the top.
Obviously, the biggest challenge was having our mom not be there, but she did a really good job, as she explained, of balancing and prioritizing and what was important. I remember I was a really good speller, and so I was always in the spelling bee, and we would wake up at 6 a.m. and just hammer out words. And so initially I remember her being gone and, you know, not being there all the time.
Sometimes I forget where she is because she's always gone. And so you were in Bulgaria, and I was going through a really hard time. And like, no matter what age you are, you always want to call your mom for something that's going on. I couldn't get through to her. So that was like an extreme challenge I had to overcome is, she's not here right now. We can't talk right now. She's doing something really amazing, but I have to be stronger for it and learn what she's learned. Be strong. Do it.
As she became more successful, she was really able to take us with her. And I remember all the stuff she was able to do with us as a result of the company.
All through their growing up years, I was able to expose them to a range of adventures and many different cultures around the world. We visited the capitals of the world. We visited places that I wouldn't have been able to find on a map before building my business. And, you know, there are just no words to adequately express the value of all those experiences. Some of the trips were with just one of the children so that we could have super quality time together away from our daily routine. You'd be surprised how much more you get to know each other when traveling solo like that. But of course, there were many times, many times when I was able to take the whole family and even some of our friends to the most wonderful places. And we created memories that will stay in our hearts and our minds forever.
Well, she was out there meeting people, and we'd be on an airplane, and you'd want to talk to her, but she'd be talking for 3 hours to the person to the left of her about her company.
I was able to see what they had kind of already gone through. I was able to see that she was always on the phone all the time, and that, like, okay, it's good to, like, complain at mom. If I guilt trip her a little bit more, maybe she'll get off the freaking phone and pay attention to me.
It was quite a struggle, and it wasn't what we would have loved in the younger years, but we saw some tenacity, and we learned from that, and we grew from that.
The challenges always reaped rewards, and it was so clear to us because we got to travel so much and really reap the benefits. So it never really felt as much like a challenge, but more like we were in it with her because she painted that picture for us in that way. And I know that there are stories about Todd crying as a little toddler.
Little 3-year-old Todd had come running out of the house crying, "Mommy, don't go," as I was leaving for a meeting. I got out of the car. I was exhausted. I took him in my arms. What he couldn't see is that I was crying too. And I said, "Todd, please go in the house and be a big boy. I promise you, someday I'll be able to take you kids everywhere I go." At that moment, I had no idea how I would ever keep that promise. I was still wondering if my hard work was ever going to pay off at all. But I just kept going, whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
When you are a young child, it's not when you want your mom to leave, it's when you're 17, 16, and 18 that you want. So in those years, we were stoked.
I was still young. I hated it.
That being said, I used to come home from soccer practice. Our nanny would pick her up when mom couldn't get us, and there would be roughly 5 to 20 strangers in our house, and I'd have to introduce myself to roughly all of them. And it was not what I liked to do at 8 o'clock when I was trying to find a snack, rummaging through 3 randoms in my kitchen. It just wasn't what I was looking for. But I got a great chance to sort of spread my wings and meet some new people and understand, like my mom had said earlier, how much she was making an impact. It wasn't just that I realized that she was doing something because she had to do it, but that she was doing something and there was a lot of good coming from it.
One of the questions the children were asked was, what are some of the benefits of having an entrepreneurial mom? I mean, finally, let me off the hook a little bit here.
In the first 2 years, it was really difficult because there was meetings, and the benefits that we've gained from that and watching her build the business have given us tools that we've used in our adult lives that are really priceless now. So
When we were able to see what an impact she was making and the sacrifices she made while still committing to us 110%, if not more, I know that for each one of us, we wanted to emulate those same qualities. We wanted to be that.
She had set out a goal, and she had said, I'm going to do this. And she actually explained it to us, how high a standard or how hard a goal this was. It was something that wasn't simple, and it seemed, to my standard, at 13 or 12, nearly impossible. We're talking about a lot of people she was looking to bring on and change the lives of. But we got to see that unfold.
And to see her drive and her commitment to her business and what she wanted to do in her own life carried through to us as well.
And being able to travel, as she said, we were fortunate enough to go to Georgia. Just being able to see the people there and how they interacted with her and how they interacted with each other. I mean, it really is a great thing that you guys are doing, building your businesses, because at the end of the day, that's what you're going to have is the relationships with each person, and that's what we were able to experience, and that is so rich in seeing the people grow and being able to experience the different cultural backgrounds. It was just that had the biggest impact on me because it really taught me an openness.
We're all breaking off on our own voyages, but we're not afraid to take on challenges, and we're not afraid to be knocked down because we know that there are so many great challenges out there that you're going to have to jump them, you're going to have to hurdle them, and if you don't, then walk around them or go under them, figure a way around them, right? So I grew from that experience.
Keep in mind 3 major side benefits of being a home-based network marketer. 1, your work demands personal development to a greater extent than most professions. So you're modeling the personal values that you want your children to follow. 2, your children are watching you. And 3, they see that you get rewarded according to your efforts. They see that with consistent hard work and persistent dedication, they too can accomplish anything. They see that they can follow their dreams and that they must not sabotage themselves with limiting beliefs. You know, I wanted my children to find their own way, make their own difference, respond to their own call, and live their lives of full expression, wherever that would lead them.
My mom never told us we couldn't do anything, whether or not she wanted us doing it or not. She never, ever instilled any doubt in me, only just lifted me up.
I myself today hold myself to very rigorous standards because of that. I just recently opened a health insurance agency, and I have about 10 employees working for me, and it's partly because of my mom's example. I had learned from a very young age to create real wealth, you don't want to work for someone else. You want to have your own business because you're in control. And a lot of my daily routine and personal regimen are because of the way that I was raised and because of my mom. I set goals for myself. I have fitness goals. I have goals in every area of my life. And so I think that is a result of my mother and the tools that she gave us to really strive toward being just better in every area of our lives. And Nicole has had a shoe and handbag line. Todd has a music production company. Ashley's written a book. Ashley's written a book.
Well, I think that from a young age with the travel, and I'm sure we've touched on the Bahama Bucks and everything she did every single day, the First Timer Awards and the AAB Awards, the Above and Beyond Awards.
Bahamas Bucks, First Timers, and AAB Awards. What in the world is Nicole talking about? Let me explain. As you know, it isn't easy to run your household when you're giving time to your business, but stuff needs to get done around the house. You know, meals getting prepared, dishes done, beds made, animals fed, kids dressed and out the door, homework done, and all of that, hopefully without too big of a hassle. So the last thing I wanted was to be nagging my kids all the time. I wanted to make sure that our interactions were positive and to make the time I had with them, those precious hours, count. But I needed their help. And the bottom line is they would just have to suck it up. So I developed a system of charts and checklists and rewards that incentivized them for doing their chores. I called it my Sanity Saver. Nicole just mentioned some of the incentives. We had the First Timer Award, where I would never need to ask, Todd, is your room done yet? Sean, is your room clean yet? And so on for all 4 kids, day in, day out. Instead, I could simply say, clean your room, kids, first timer. And before you knew it, every kid's room was done, and the First Timer Awards are piling up in their charts that they could later convert into prizes or cash. We also had the Team Player Award, which they received for being kind to each other and getting along with each other. And I'll tell you, that was a godsend. Nicole also mentioned the Bahamas Bucks. Now, these were awards that they earned for certain achievements that they could turn in for cash to be spent on family vacations to the Bahamas. And by far, the most coveted award was the AAB Award, the Above and Beyond Award. Now, you would give this to a child who has done something extraordinary in school, at home, or interacting with the other children, something that was way above and beyond their usual chores. So, of course, the Sanity Saver literally kept me from losing my mind, and it infused our relationships with a sense of teamwork, and it brought wonderful order to the household, and thus the kids really indirectly helped me build my business. But there were other benefits. Every one of those kids learned a set of values that they carried into their adult lives. You know, like self-discipline and responsibility, self-respect, teamwork, organization, enjoying the pride of a job well done, handling money, and being proud little entrepreneurs at any young age.
I think that from a young age, she has always instilled those values of what kind of person I should be and how I should be approaching situations and approaching my everyday life and approaching my own business now as I'm older and I'm, living in her footsteps and doing what she's doing. It's all definitely paid off.
After the money starts coming in, another value you can teach your children is the importance of paying it forward, of giving back. So beyond everything my kids learned from the Sanity Saver, we had lessons in charitable service. I think our favorite example is what we call the Christmas story.
Every year we do Sub for Santa, and that means more to us than the gifts we get, which are grandiose. But we get to go and meet a family, sit down with them on Christmas Eve, already having shopped for them. We each get a kid, we get a cart, we go through Toys R Us, and no budget. And we get to fill our cart with everything on their list. One year in particular, there was a family, a woman who had, I think it was like 5 or 6 children, or 8, Sean's saying. No small kids in here. That we weren't Santa, that we were Santa, and that they just thought we were just some random family coming to say hi, So that was even more gratifying to not have to immediately get praised or understand that you are the person giving them the gifts. It teaches you a lesson. There's so much more when people aren't looking. It feels better, when you're not being noticed, but you're doing something within your, that it helps within yourself, right? And so my mom drove them to the parking lot, and we had 2 cars. We had driven the 2 cars. Ashley's dad, our stepdad, had raised us. We all went over, and they got out of the car, and the woman was confused, and she was wondering why we're in this parking lot. And my mom handed her the keys to our other car. They didn't have a car. She was riding the bus, and couldn't take her kids to do anything extracurricular. These kids were limited on a high level. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm covered in chills. I don't know how I'm not crying. Can you imagine a lesson like that? We got so much more out of it than they did. Way more.
I could never have guessed the intangible benefits that were occurring inside of my precious children. Seeing who they've become as adults today, I can confidently say that growing up in a household with an entrepreneurial mom has played a significant role in who they've become. So by letting your children see you full heart, full passion, going for your dreams, it lets them know that their dreams matter too. When you're going for something big and new, there will just be some initial sacrifices, so something's got to give. But you can make it clear that your all-out efforts are just temporary and that the resulting sacrifices are a short-term thing. They will pale in comparison to the lifestyle that is possible. I mean, at the end of the day, what's more important than leaving a legacy and the things that we teach our children? As a result of this panel, what I heard over and over again is that it gave parents permission to really go after their dreams, and that the gifts would then far outweigh the challenges. So the advice would be that this is your life too, and yes, You are a parent. Trust yourself that you can make big promises and keep them. The most important role you'll ever play, and your call to greatness also, is to go ahead and do the things that are yours to do. And at the same time, you can let your children know that you love them and that truly they're the most important thing in your life.
So my advice would be to be 110% yourself. Because if a child can see that you are living and breathing and loving what you're doing, we want to do it too. And to see my mom live and just like excel with every ounce of her body, and not only just that, but like Todd was saying, you can have to be anything you want. So to live within yourself and to go to these things, and yes, it might sacrifice a couple hours in a weekend and some money, but when you're following that, we want it too. We want that. You are the role model, and we are going to be role models for the next generations.
And have some affirmations, understand what it is that you are capable of doing, and believe in that, even if they're pulling or nagging or grabbing. Because at the end result, they always are happy, provided that you're not a tyrant or some crazy person. They're happy. And I think that you're going to have kids that are pulling on you. I mean, if you have kids, if not, you're going to have friends or an evening to go out, or some vacation that a friend's taking. And sometimes you want to take it. Sometimes you're going to have to put the phone down, like my mom said, and you're going to have to turn it. You're going to have to give Timmy 10 minutes to an hour of your time at least, right? But to understand the ultimate goal, and I couldn't agree with my sister Nicole more, expressing that to your child and bringing them in on it, or your friends. Let your family know what it is. You want them, you want every person you can, like they say, widening that circle, and just, bringing in as many people as you can on your dream, because the more people you have behind you, the bigger your army is going forward.
Just communicate that dream with them and make them a part of it, and make them realize that this is what it's going to be. If you can stick with me and we can do this together, this is what it's going to be, and these are the benefits that it's going to reap, and trust me.
I like a poem that was quoted by Nelson Mandela, and I don't know who wrote it, but they say, as you let your light shine, you unconsciously allow others to do the same. And I think that speaks in volumes of, just like Ashley said, we're watching you. We're seeing what you're doing, and we may be unhappy. We're always going to be unhappy about one thing or another. My soccer pajamas have a rip in them. I need a new set, whatever it is. But we watch and we learn through you.
The biggest thing is the example, and these guys kind of touched on it, whether it's your children or your significant other or whomever you're trying to get to buy in. It's just having passion and conveying what you want, I guess. I mean, my mom was really good at, showing us the vision of what she wanted and what it could be. And I think when, you let people know that, they'll come along.
That's really it, understanding your goal, including others in that goal, and don't ever doubt yourself. I can't explain how much I eliminate thoughts of doubt daily. I mean, they're going to come. I have to deal with them. You have to deal with them, unless you're just super confident, which good, you're already there. But don't doubt that you can't do it. My mom has taught us that. Believe that you can. It's not going to take some small step of effort. It's certainly going to take some stroke and some time, but you need to work at it.
Really speaking to that vision and making them realize that there is a goal in sight, and that the benefits ultimately do pay off.